my darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Once Upon a Kiss by Robin Palmer. This is a young adult novel. Part of it takes place in the 1980s, and part of it takes place in 2016. So the reading level on this book is a bit younger than I was expecting. So it is geared more towards, I think, middle schoolers or early teens. So despite the fact that the main character is 16, it's maybe not necessarily a 16-year-old's reading level. I'm just saying. Or maybe I'm completely wrong. So this book follows Zoe, who is a junior in 1986. She's grown up in the 80s. This is the world she knows. She loves new wave music and fashion and kind of 80s pop culture. And her best friend Jonah is a disc jockey, and he has a job working at a record store. I love Jonah and Zoe and their musical tastes. It's fantastic. The two of them aren't exactly outcasts, but they're not super popular either. Like, it's kind of just the two of them. They're really close, and they have people that they associate with, but like not really having a clique. And Zoe thinks that their school is a little bit too segregated by groups. Like, the popular people hang out at this one part of the school called the ramp, and they kind of just run everything and rule the school from that ramp and look down at everybody else. And Zoe wants to change that. So she runs for class president on the grounds that she wants to get rid of the ramp, and she also wants to start this kind of cultural exchange within the school where you go hang out with a different group of friends for a day and see what their life is like, which is an interesting concept. I wasn't sold on it, so that might be part of why I wasn't such a fan of this book. So the interesting part of this book happens when she's at work one day, and she's at the mall, and there's this incident where she starts choking on a Fun Dip, and she loses consciousness. And when she wakes up, it's the morning, except it's the morning in the year 2016. So she skipped 30 years. Except it's not just that Zoe's been transported to 2016, like all of her friends and family, all of them have also migrated to 2016 and have 2016 versions of themselves. So everybody's using cell phones and Twitter, and her parents that did disco aerobics in the 80s, now they've got like hip hop aerobics going on. Junk food is just like eaten and consumed and not really thought about in the 80s versus how everybody's more health conscious in her community in 2016. And there's several different changes. So it was kind of cool to see how we progressed. Like, recycling was this niche thing in the 80s, and then all of a sudden it's just like everybody just recycles. That's what you do. So lots of changes. And Zoe is trying to adjust. Everybody else around them, this is like their life. They see anything as being weird. This is how it's always been. So Zoe's trying to adjust to the technology and the different culture and the being 30 years in the future. Try and play catch up. Zoe also finds out that she is super popular. She is queen bee at the school in 2016. She rules everything. She's also super into like matchy pinks and stuff that Zoe in 1986 would never wear. So she's suddenly transported and expected to act in a certain way that she isn't, and she's like, wait, what is happening? The most popular kid in school, Brad, is also her boyfriend, and he's actually pretty much sweet, and he's a great boyfriend, except for the fact that Zoe doesn't really love him, so that's a bit weird. He's trying to like make out with her, and she's like, please don't touch me. So Zoe is struggling to fit into 2016 and also try to figure out if she can find a way back to 1986, which she super loved. And in this 2016 world, she and Jonah aren't friends. In fact, Jonah has a different friend, and apparently everything that they've done together and that she remembers, actually Jonah's been doing with this other girl in this world. And so they aren't friends, they don't talk, and so she feels left out. She's missing her best friend. He's like right there, but he's not. So on the whole, I didn't really enjoy this book. It felt kind of like a chore to get through, which is kind of sad because I had high hopes for this book. I thought it was going to be amazing. I love the 80s. And there are plenty of 80s references, but it feels more like it's set in 2016 than that. There wasn't enough retro stuff happening for my tastes. Also, I wasn't that big a fan of Zoe. I didn't really understand the whole cultural exchange thing. Like, you could, if you wanted to hang out with another group, just go, so, hey, introduce yourself and hang out with another group. Like, I don't understand why that had to be a school program. Some of her reasoning and thinking I wasn't totally on board with. Also, some of this book was just super predictable, and it took Zoe way too long to figure things out. I mean, sure, she doesn't know how to use a cell phone, or Twitter, and so it's gonna take her a while to figure out that. But some of the relationship stuff should have been the same. I was also expecting more romance in this book. Like, it's called Once Upon a Kiss. I thought there would be more of that. Instead, Zoe doesn't have a boyfriend in 1986, and when she gets to 2016, she spends most of her time not getting close to Brad and trying to squirm away from him. So, wasn't very much romance in this. It does have some cute moments and stuff that references back to 80s movies. The ending kind of is this homage to all these John Hughes types of movies, all these 80s teen comedies. Her trying to figure out how to get back to 1986 was interesting, but there just wasn't enough in it, so I ended up giving this book only 2 stars. And I'm totally planning on getting rid of this book. I'm totally not rereading this at any point. It's not the worst book ever. I didn't love it. No, definitely not. So let me know if you guys have read Once Upon a Kiss and if you enjoyed it more than me, or any of Robin Palmer's other books, which I think I'm just going to steer clear of. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you guys want to help me out. And peace out. I love you guys, and keep reading. Bye.